Operation Junction City, launched on February 22, 1967, was one of the largest and most complex military operations of the Vietnam War, both in terms of manpower and strategic ambition. It was carried out in Tây Ninh Province, near the Cambodian border, with the primary objective of locating and destroying the elusive Central Office for South Vietnam, COSVN, the Viet Cong's political and military headquarters believed to be orchestrating operations in South Vietnam. Planned and commanded by General William Westmoreland and two Field Force Commander Lieutenant General Jonathan O. Seaman, the operation aimed to crush the Viet Cong infrastructure in War Zone C, a heavily fortified area long used by Communist forces as a base of operations, logistics hub, and safe haven due to its proximity to the Cambodian sanctuary. The campaign was divided into multiple phases and began with a massive buildup of troops and material. Over 25,000 U.S. troops from several major divisions, including the 1st Infantry Division, the Big Red One, the 25th Infantry Division, the 4th Infantry Division, the 196th Light Infantry Brigade, and the elite 173rd Airborne Brigade, were deployed, supported by 4,000 ARVN soldiers. The operation also involved the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, which provided mobility and firepower through its use of M113 armored personnel carriers and Sheridan tanks. On February 22, the 173rd Airborne Brigade executed the only large-scale combat parachute assault of the Vietnam War, with around 845 paratroopers dropped near the town of Cà Tăm in an effort to quickly establish blocking positions and disrupt enemy movement. Simultaneously, other ground forces advanced from multiple directions, forming a giant pincer designed to encircle and trap Viet Cong and NVA forces operating in the region. The terrain posed a severe challenge. Thick jungle, muddy trails, and booby-trapped paths made troop movement slow and dangerous, while the enemy used an extensive network of tunnels and fortified bunkers to resist and evade. Air mobility was critical to the operation, and hundreds of helicopters were used to insert troops, supply firebases, evacuate wounded, and conduct reconnaissance missions. B-52 bombers were also employed in saturation bombing raids, particularly targeting suspected COSVN areas and bunker complexes. Throughout the campaign, American forces engaged in numerous firefights and skirmishes, including notable battles at Prek Cloc, Lo Go, and AP Bao Bang II, often facing ambushes, sniper fire, and heavily mined areas. Despite these obstacles, the operation resulted in the discovery and destruction of thousands of bunkers, tunnels, and supply caches. American engineers blew up extensive underground complexes, some of which had multiple levels and were equipped with radios, medical facilities, and living quarters. Over 100 tons of rice were seized, and significant quantities of weapons, ammunition, and documents were captured, offering insight into enemy plans and organizational structure. However, the central aim, capturing or eliminating the COSVN leadership, was not achieved. Communist forces, highly experienced in evasion and misdirection, had likely relocated prior to the main assaults or managed to escape into Cambodia, beyond the reach of American forces due to political restrictions on cross-border operations. By the end of the campaign on May 14, 1967, the U.S. reported over 2,700 enemy killed, 600 bunkers destroyed, and hundreds of weapons captured, but such statistics were often contested, as body counts were sometimes inflated or difficult to verify in the dense jungle. American losses totaled at least 282 killed and over 1,500 wounded, making it one of the costliest operations of the war to that point. Despite the scale and intensity of the operation, Viet Cong activity in the region resumed within weeks, as the enemy reoccupied many of the evacuated areas and continued guerrilla attacks. Operation Junction City, while tactically successful in disrupting Viet Cong logistics and infrastructure, highlighted the fundamental limitations of large-scale search-and-destroy missions in a war where the enemy could dissolve into the jungle, exploit cross-border sanctuaries, and rely on local support networks. The operation also underscored the challenge of waging a conventional war against an unconventional enemy. While it showcased American air mobility, firepower, and coordination, it ultimately failed to produce lasting strategic gains. The COSVN survived and continued to direct operations, contributing to the eventual planning of the 1968 Tet Offensive. Junction City became symbolic of the U.S. military's struggle to apply conventional tactics to a guerrilla conflict and raised growing questions about the effectiveness of attrition warfare. Although praised by some for its boldness and scope, the operation also fed into the broader sense of frustration that began to emerge among both military leaders and the American public as the war dragged on without clear progress or victory.